This movie is made out of a family perspective. At last, thank you to Karina and Liz-Marie for make this movie and for all work with this.
So we're spinning around it like this. And then we have the sun, which we're spinning around.
And then once
I don't know.
Get up on Microsoft Stereo.
Okay.
Set in the Microsoft Stereo.
Okay.
Set in the
Two o'clock. So we left 24 hours ago. We were on the tarmac, getting ready to leave.
I guess it's 35.
Microsoft Stereo.
Okay.
Set in the
Apparently.
In fact, he wanted to retire because it was holistic.
I can't. These lushes.
There you go.
Like snowflake.
Yeah.
It's like I then I was really paying attention.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But I think
You're like,
When they were little.
This is recorded in the church.
So what do you do like in the garden? I mean, do you have like automated doctors for emergencies and stuff?
But
Our Malmgren family story begins in 1755 with the birth of Paul Tarkelson, and in 1763 the birth of Anna Johansdottir. They marry and have a son, Ola Paulson, and that is in the year 1781. Hannah Hansdottir is born in 1780. The two meet at Helsingborg and marry. And Ola works as a mill worker. They have a child, Carl Olsen Malmgren, who moves to Kaslosa and becomes a blacksmith. He marries Bengta Gronvall, and the rest is history. This is how we become the Malmgren family in the United States.
Pays attention to how convenient they're making it for disabled people anymore.
If the wind stops, you release the mill by increasing the space, and then it's sort of idling, but still
Separate the mill from both levels.
once. The grain is in this hopper, and the bottom of the hopper is suspended, hanging loose, and when it hits that square-shaped axle, it makes it shake, and that controls the
Carl Olsen Malmgren marries Bengta Gronvall, and they live in Katslosa, and they have children together, and one of them happens to be Nils Malmgren, who marries Fredrika Pedersen. The two of them decide to leave Sweden and go to America. And that's how we end up in Canton, Illinois, as a family.
I am starting to tell my side of a family in Ystad. In 1854, Carl August Stensson was born. When he was 2 years old, he moved with his parents to a small village called Tingaröd, and it is far from Katslösa. Maybe all the kids went to the same school, and maybe it was a school that began between Carl August and Hanna Malmgren. Carl August and Hanna Malmgren was married in the church of Katslösa in 1876, and they settled first in the village of Sjörup. Then they moved around a little bit from the village, and last they settled down in the Mossby, a few houses from Mossby Forge. Carl August and Hanna got the children. Nils Hermann, born 1876, but he lives only a few days. Jan Stenkill was born 1877. He worked at the blacksmith in Mossby Forge before he moved to Östra Grevie and married Hilda Carolina. He is Lennart Hansson's grandfather. Nils Hermann is born 1879. He moved to Lackalänga, and there he was working as a shoemaker. He marries Maria, and they get Anna and Henry, my father. Henry works as a car mechanic and have his own shop in Kullen. Henry married his cousin Evy, and they get only one children, me. Nils Hermann is my grandfather.
Rose bushes that are about this tall. There beside the bedroom where you slept. That's my honor garden for my parents and my brother. Yeah.
For us, we have kindergarten through fourth grade, and then you go to it's called a middle school,
They like the
grade to
ping
eighth
pong.
grade, and then you go
There's a
on
ping pong
ninth grade,
table.
Is there?
Yeah,
and then
it
you
stays
go on
outside all the time. We've never seen one.
I'm not gonna touch the tree.
I'm gonna touch that tree.
Hulda Josephine is born 1881. She moved to Copenhagen and was working as a maid before she married Sofus, who was born in Helsingør, Denmark. They get 3 children, Orla, Gunvor and Grete. Orla married Mary, and they get children, Erik and Esther. Sigrid Emalia, born 1883, lived a couple of months. Albert Ernfrid, born 1884, he lived a couple of months. And then come Sigrid Emalia, born 1887. She lives a couple of months. And then come another Sigrid Emalia, who was born 1888. She moved to Copenhagen and was working as a maid before she married Karl Max, who is born in Copenhagen. Albert Ernfrid, 1889, he lived a couple of months. And then come Elvira Theodora, who was born 1890s. She moved to Copenhagen and working as a cook before she married Alfred, who was born on Fyn, Denmark. They get the children Evie, who married her cousin Henry. Elvira is my grandmother. Elvira and Sigrid is married in the church Vor Frelsers Kirke in København. In the same church has Henry and Evie been married. I am Baptist in this church also. Hulda is married in St. Paul's Church. All of them lived in Sankt Annegade i København. When Elvira becomes a widow, she is moving with her daughter Evy to Andreas Bjørnsgade, nummer 13. When Evy and Henry had been married, they settled on Kullen in Furulund in Sweden, and it was here I grew up. I then married and got 2 children, Malin and Karina.
These are our family immigrants. They settled in and around Canton, Illinois, just after the Civil War. And this is Nils Malmgren. This is his wife, Fredrika. And this is Eleanor Malmgren. This is Magnus Malmgren. This is Carl Malmgren. And this is John Malmgren. My part of the family tree branches from Fredrika and Nils. They have my grandfather, Edward Theodore Malmgren, who marries Goldie Lee Todd. And they have 3 sons. My father is the oldest. He is William Howard Malmgren. And his brother's name is Frederick Malmgren. He is named after Fredrika. And then the youngest son is Edward Todd Malmgren. My father, William Howard Malmgren, marries Gladys Malmgren and has my brother, James Howard Malmgren, and then me, Sonia Lee Malmgren.
We have heard about Carl and Bengta's children, who went to America by Sonja. And I will tell you some of the other children who stayed in Sweden. Peter worked as a shoemaker and he settled in Skivarp. He was married to Kristina and Hanna. Maria married Hans Olsen Mathisen of Nyborg in Denmark. He worked as a wagon maker and they settled in Svedala. Olof worked as a baker and he moved to Skurup. He married Kersti Andersson. And then there was Elsie, worked a maid, and she moved to Ängelholm. She married August Andersson Malmgren. This was a piece of a family history.